welcome to this week's video. It is time for my Spooktober sketchbook tour, or Spooktober drawing tour. If you don't know, I did a drawing challenge this month called Spooktober. I made my own list, randomly picked them from a pot to make it a little bit more interesting and fun, and picked a limited palette. Now, normally I do Witchtober each year, or I've done like variations of Inktober, as well as Drawtober, and October's a very big challenge month, let's be honest. So this year I wanted to do something a little bit different and challenge myself. I still was using ink because I love using ink this time of year, and for the inks that I used the Court Noir drawing ink. I really use this a lot with dip pens. They're fantastic to use, waterproof and marker proof as well. As for the coppers, I used 3 different coppers this year. I used the Liquitex ink in Iridescent Rich Copper. I used this beautiful Daler-Rowney Pearlescent in Birdwing Copper. This one's more yellowy than the other copper, which is really nice. And the other one that I used was a new one for me. This is the Encre Pigment Cuvée. I'm probably saying that completely wrong. And this is a copper ink. Now you do have to mix it up, so sometimes it does vary with different ink pigments, as in like the strength of the color, but someone actually recommended that to me, so I thought I'd pick it up and have a little bit of fun. As for the dip pen, I'm using the Kuretake dip pen that I've used for years, as well as brush paints. And for paper I used this year, I used the Winsor & Newton cold press, and of course the Hobbycraft band as well. So for this year, basically what I did was I put all the prompts in a jar, picked them out one by one, and randomly did them each day. So there was no rhyme or reason for this. It was just a lot of fun. This top one here is using that beautiful Birdwing Copper by Daler-Rowney. As you can see, it's sort of like yellowy in nature, and the whole idea with this was to play around with the dip pen, create like a lot of cross-hatching, a lot of texture within the work itself to really strengthen my line work, and then do washes of either ink or copper that would fit the illustration. In the beginning I didn't do a lot of washes, and then towards the end I did a lot of washes to gain different textures that I was after. I actually took a break halfway through the month because October was a very busy month for me. As you can probably tell, I didn't post a lot through October here up on the channel. This is mainly because I was busy with convention season, and had another deadline for an art zine which is currently out, as well as a deadline for a few projects as well. So it's sort of like everything kind of took on hold. So when I was at Comic-Con, I took a break, and then took a week break after Comic-Con. I'm actually going to be at Thought Bubble next weekend, which I'm very excited for. I love doing conventions. It's so good to be doing them again. But there is a studio vlog which will be telling you all about the conventions coming up next week. So pretty much with this was playing with texture. Line art is my strongest skill. It's mainly because I do a lot of line art drawings mainly before anything else. I'm still learning a lot with color, but I do feel like line art is my strongest skill that I do have. I know it is. It's something that I practiced for years. I practiced line art way before I did color, and I did a lot of black and white work way before color anyway. So this felt really good to go back to sort of my roots and play around. Some of these prompts were suggestions from the Discord, as well as tributes to the Discord, such as this Demon Ducks, because we have a duck cult and a frog cult on there. I don't know when that happened. They suddenly appeared, and I am all here for it. I liked some of these illustrations more than others. Others I was not happy with. But the whole point of a challenge month is to play around, and sometimes you're going to get drawings that you really like and drawings that you really dislike as well. That's just a part of doing illustrations in general. Sometimes I find that work, it looks beautiful for me, it's 10 out of 10, really happy with it, and then other times I'm really disappointed with the end result. And the whole point is with these challenge months is to set yourself a limit. Now, not everyone is going to be able to do a drawing every day. Like, I definitely did not have time to do drawings every single day, let's be honest, especially with all the deadlines and the convention. So it does end up being a bit of a challenge trying to fit that around your current work schedule as it is. So I think that a challenge month, personally for me, a challenge can be to draw every single day, but sometimes it can be a challenge to do a drawing to fit any of those prompts at any time. So that's why this prompt list, I sort of like did it so it was ambiguous, so to have a little bit of fun with it, but also so that it was for me to be able to play around with some things. For example, I did fan art, and for the first time in a long time when I do these challenge months, I normally just do all original designs, all original characters, but I actually dabbled with a little bit of fan art with this. So for example, we had the Phantom of the Opera in here, we had Coraline, there is another fan art at a later point, I can't remember exactly what it was, but the challenge for me was to try and do different like sort of styles. So some of them I wanted to do more storybook, some of them I wanted to do more character design-esque, some of them I just wanted to have a little bit of fun playing with the colours. This paper in particular, the Winsor & Newton paper, is one of my favourites. It takes to the ink really, really well, and the paper doesn't have as rough as a texture to it as the Hobbycraft paper. I found that with the Winsor & Newton paper, the colours were popping a lot more, whereas on the Hobbycraft paper I did have to work a little bit more to get to those colours. But that's because it's ink, it doesn't behave the same way as watercolours. You can treat ink like watercolours by diluting it and then painting in shades, which is what I have done for previous Witchtobers, Inktobers, whatever you want to call it. Let's just call it a challenge month. Drawtober, you know, everyone has their own different challenges that they love to do during a challenge month. Yeah, Alice in Wonderland. There's the other fan art I did. There was a lot that you can do with inks, which is why I like it. It's so versatile. But you know, a challenge month is to each their own. My recommendation whenever you want to do a drawing challenge month, especially if you want to do it daily, my recommendation is to sketch them all out in advance. Once you've sketched them all out, it takes less pressure off you having to like play around with the illustrations as much. So what a lot of people do that I've seen, they take September called Sketchtember. Oh, it's Bella Cuddle time. She came to inspect. Getting a very much close up of Bella. She's been very, very cuddly lately. I think it's because it's autumn and she's just like, yay. She wanted to be a part of the video, clearly. I think with a lot of these challenge months, what I've seen people do is they've done Sketchtember, where they've sketched out the prompts for the October art challenge month that they're doing, and then spend October inking, and then November what they do is they'll then colour that. So instead of it being like a 1 month challenge, they do it over 3 months, which I think is really, really fun way to approach this challenge. It means that you get to play around with the illustrations, you're doing it for 3 different challenge months, and you get to have a lot of fun with that as well. My personal recommendation is set yourself a time limit. I limit how much time I can take on these because some days I have more time than others. So like, for example, at the beginning of this, I was spending about 2 hours a day working on like sketching the next prompt and like doing it that way. But then the issue that I was coming up with was some days I didn't have 2 hours to spend with that. So I would say, like, if you want to do a challenge month and you want to challenge yourself, time limit really, really can help, because it means that you're working within that time limit and what you can do within that time limit. And if that time limit means that you don't use color, that is absolutely fine. Sometimes I get lost in inking, and that's why it's one of my favorite things to do, but it also takes me the longest to do. Especially with dip pen, I'm always wanting to play around with texture and being able to like lightly press the ink, and sometimes it's unpredictable. It's so much fun. Like, this piece is a really good one to show off texture with a lot of cross hatching and a lot of different color laying that's happening. There was ink washes in here that went over cross hatching to enhance the cross hatching, and it's probably one of my favorite pieces actually at the end. Some of these, like I said, I wasn't happy with because I didn't get as much time, or I wasn't as inspired by the prompts, or I was going for a more children's style illustration and it just didn't translate with the sort of like spooky vibe that this color palette was having. I think with copper and black you get a very autumnal palette, and I do recommend, like, if anyone wants to try it, copper and black ink just looks really, really nice together. I just think it translates really well. But irregardless of what challenge month you did, knowing that even if you did one piece, or even if you were planning a piece, or even if you only did half of the challenge, knowing that you started something just feels really good sometimes. And you don't always have time, genuinely you don't, and that is okay. I say that every challenge month, but I genuinely think that's super important. I really wanted to do Huevember this year, but unfortunately with my time schedule, with the new convention this month, as well as some deadlines and a shop update, I'm just not going to have time. And that's just the reality sometimes when it comes to challenge months. You don't have time, and that's okay. Sometimes doing something small instead of something big can be amazing. So I've also seen people where they take a giant piece of A3 paper and they do something small to represent the prompts for each day, or they'll have a room and they'll build a scene with all these prompts, which is a really beautiful way to approach this challenge. That way you can have something that's a little bit more exciting and a little bit more fun. You can tell sort of like towards the end, some of these pieces aren't as great, and that's literally just because like I ended up having to do catch up after taking a week off after Expo. I was so tired. I pretty much like took the week off of like doing this challenge month just so I could catch up with other things, as well as like con prep. It's sort of like demissed what I could do, and instead of being able to spend 2 hours, I was only able to spend half an hour. And you can really tell some of these aren't as detailed, but these are also some of the prompts that I really wasn't looking forward to because I just couldn't visualize it in an interesting way in my head. And that's fine. Sometimes they aren't going to work. I think Frankenput might be my least favorite out of all of them. It's got potential. There are some fun things in there, but it just doesn't work. It should have been within a scene, and it's not. So it looks very plain in comparison to the others. For those wondering if I am going to be doing a zine with all this, yes, I am. In the November store update, the zine will be going live up on there. It will be debuting at Thought Bubble next weekend. November update will be towards the end of the month, just because I'm waiting on some new washi tapes to arrive to be able to do that. But now to show you the final piece, I couldn't actually fit these in these because they only have like 15 pages per each, but this one is my favorite. This is Candle Crown. I really enjoyed doing this. I've got sort of like Phantom of the Opera vibes with this. I was feeling very Phantom, what can I say? And that is all my drawings for Spooktober this year. You'll have to let me know down below which one is your favourite, and if you took part in any challenge months, be sure to tag me. Use the hashtag #StayCreative with Sophiralou, because I'm always so excited to see what you have done during any challenge months and any drawings that you do. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful day. Remember to love what you do, keep drawing, and as always folks, stay creative.